Hello everyone, I'm Ritika Gauri from Management Bliss. In this video, let's see how to import bulk issues into a Jira project. So let's say you already have a couple of issues in an Excel sheet with different values and you want to have those issues in a particular Jira project and want to map those values with respect to the different fields in Jira project. So let's see how to do all that. Now I would be telling some of the very basic and easy steps to import a lot of issues at the same time to Jira and to avoid mistakes. And also in the end, we'll take a few pointers which would help us to make our job even easier. Okay, so let's see. Currently, I am into the backlog of my project, and if you want to import issues, so the first option you have is from this create button. Let's click on create, and here if we see on the right hand side top of this panel, we can see that we have an import issues button. Before we move forward, the ways which we are discussing to import issues in Jira in this video is for everyone, even those who are not admins in their project. So let's say people are working in their project and they have to import a lot of issues, then they can also do that using this method. So let's click on this import issues, and we saw a bulk create setup page has been open for us. Now these are the different steps which we see on the top. That is, first we have to do the setup, then settings, then we have to map the fields, then we have to map the values if required, and so on. Okay, now the first thing first is that you have to choose the file, but for that we should have a file prepared first. So let's have a look on how your file should look like. Let me just open one of the Excel sheets. Okay, so on my screen you can see an Excel sheet, and the top row, if you see, represents different fields with respect to an issue. So one thing to note is that since you are not uploading as an admin, there are restrictions for certain fields. For example, you cannot include created field in this import since we are not importing the issues as an admin but as a normal user. Therefore, certain restrictions are there with respect to what all fields which are allowed and what all fields which are not allowed as a normal user to import. I'll also show you the page where you can go and find out more details or to search if you can include the field in your Excel sheet or not. Otherwise, this is a simple sheet which specifies different values with respect to issues, and when you see these different rows, these are the different issues. I have first of all specified what is the issue type. Secondly, I have provided what should be the summary. Then I have given an assignee ID. When we upload the sheet, Jira will automatically take the assignee name with respect to assignee ID and map it. So it's better to take an assignee ID to avoid confusions with respect to names. And then in our sheet we have priority, then we have version and component as well for each of the issue. Now one thing to note over here is that the version should have been already created in your project before you try to create an issue through an import in your project. The version should already have been there. For example, the version dmap v.1 should already exist in my project. Otherwise, I will find some errors over here. Then the component database component should also be an existing component in the project if you want to include it as a column over here for this sheet. Now we in total have 54 issues over here, and we'll try to upload them. But Jira will allow us to take the sheet in a CSV format. So what we'll do is we'll save this file in a CSV format with UTF-8 encoding so that the file is allowed by the Jira software to be taken as an input. Now let's do the same thing. I will save it as a file format, that is CSV UTF-8, and just to avoid confusions I'll change the name. Okay, let's save it. Now I am back to my project. It says that it should be a CSV source file, and we have already converted our Excel sheet into a CSV format. Now let's choose our file and select it and open. Okay, now if you have already imported issues earlier and you want to use the same configuration, you can do so. But if not, like we are doing it for the first time, so I'll just skip this checkbox and click next. Now let's select our project. So I want to import it to data migration and analytics project. I'll select it. The file encoding we have is UTF-8. That was the format in which we saved our file. We have other encodings as well, but this is the most familiar one. Therefore, I've chosen this one. To keep things easy, a delimiter will be a comma separated, and while we were saving our file to a CSV format, it automatically added delimiters as commas. Okay. Then if we have specified any dates as fields in the sheet, then we can specify the particular date format over here. But we can only use a valid syntax for simple date format, the simple date format syntax. Okay, then do a next. Now here we have to map all our fields which we have specified in the sheet. I have specified assignee ID, therefore I will map it with assignee. As I told you, it will automatically take the assignee with respect to assignee ID. Then I will map component with components and issue type with issue type, priority with priority, summary with summary, version with fix versions. So basically what we are doing over here is that we are saying that this CSV field in our sheet should map to this particular Jira field. And if we click on this checkbox map field value, then we have to also go through one more step, that is we have to specify which particular value of a CSV field should map with what particular value of a Jira field. For an example, I'll select the map field value for these two fields, components and issue type, and hit next. Now since we selected that map field value checkbox, now I have to specify and confirm that components from CSV field has a value from importer database component that should map to the target value in Jira database component. Now let's go back once again. I would also like to map field value for fixed version because I'm not sure I have selected the right version or not. Hit next. Okay. So target value in Jira was something like this. So I am mapping this particular value from the importer to this dmap v.1 target value in Jira. Basically both the values are same. I have just specified few letters in this in a small case. Then similarly bug is to bug and story is to story target value in Jira. Okay, now let's move ahead. Before begin importing, it's always beneficial that you do a validate check. So let's do that. It will tell us if there are any mistakes in our sheet. Okay, So currently we do not have any mistakes. If there are, then they would be shown over here. For example, I have a screenshot where I was uploading issues and a lot of issues had errors. Let's have a look into it. Okay, so this is the one which we were trying to upload, and these were the statistics over here. It also tells us the warnings, like I was trying to upload with some versions which didn't existed itself. Then I was trying to upload subtasks, but parent ID selections were not correct. So those kind of things and errors you can see after clicking this validate. Now let's go back to Jira. Yeah. Since now we have all the things right, let's start the import. Okay, so it says that all the issues have been imported successfully. Let's just have a quick check. So to check those issues, we have a link provided by Jira software over here. But here are also a few other information which Jira software has provided us. It's saying that if you want, you can download a detailed log of this import, and this is something which you should always do. So I'll do that right away. I'll download this log, and this is how it looks like. If I want, I can save it. In this log, there are in details, we can see what all different value created for each field with respect to different issues. Now go back, and then we can also save the configuration for future use. If you remember, while we were uploading, it said that you can use a previous configuration if you want. So if you want to save this configuration for future use, you can do so. So let's do that. Okay, and now it's the time to check if our issues have been created successfully or not. Let's see. So we got this filter where all the issues have been created successfully, where we can see our different issues, and it says there are 54 issues, and on top of each issue we can see a project key associated with it. All the issues are within this DMAP project which we selected, that is database migration and analytics project. And this filter shows that issue key which have been generated is between 96 and 149, and therefore the last issue created was DMAP 149, which is on top of this list. Okay, also if we see in this filter, automatically the one who has logged in or the current user will be taken as a creator for each field. So now let's open any random issue, and we can see that we have our fixed version created correctly, we have our database component, we have the priority, and whatever fields which we specified are there. And I told you that it will take the name from the assignee ID itself. Okay, now another good practice is that once you have the issues created, you should go and check at least a few random issues, that whether your import has been done correctly or not. Okay, so now since our import has been completed, let's have a look into the support page provided by Atlassian. So this is the reference page for us if we require any kind of support or help while importing data from a CSV file to Jira software. So here in details they have provided a lot of information, like if we see this heading, it says CSV file requirements, and it has mentioned what should be the exact requirement, that is what should be there in the first row, and the data should start from the second row, and the header row must contain a column for summary data. So this is something worth read before importing data from a CSV file. Then below it on this page, they're also sharing some other useful information. So in case you're facing any issues, then we can always come here and find out what kind of mistake we might have done in creating the sheet, which is causing all the problems while importing the data. For example, it says that you should not omit the commas. Let's say we have all these different columns in the sheet, which will be considered as different fields for each issue. So if any one value among these fields is missing, then we should just put a comma at least if we are omitting the value for that. Okay. Again, there are certain more important things, like for example, if your data is spanning into multiple lines, then it is fine. We can use double quotes to have that data. For example, if we see over here, the description falls on 2 lines, will be considered as a single description if this data is encoded in double quotes, and then we have a comma separated for the next field status over here. Similarly, there are a lot more different kind of information which we can find over here. Again, an important section here, that is creating subtasks. For example, here it is saying that if you are including a subtask, then in the parent ID you should include a valid value, and if in the same sheet you are creating an issue, then you can leave that parent ID column altogether. Okay, now you can go ahead and give it a try and see what all information is helpful for your import. Now I'll just scroll down to the last. Yeah, this I wanted to show you that in this table we can find out what are different rules for the fields. For example, in the summary, it's saying that this is the only required field. Then if we come below to the date created, it's saying that please use a date specified on the second step of the CSV import wizard, the one which I showed you earlier, that you can use this simple date format. Then if we see the status, it's saying that statuses can only be mapped to existing workflow statuses in Jira. So if you are planning to add the status as well in your CSV file, then you should pull only those statuses which are already mapped in your workflow. And if the status field is not specified in the CSV file, then by default from the workflow, the first status would be taken from your Jira system. For example, for the ones which we imported, open was taken as the default status for all the issues because we haven't specified a status field in our sheet. So this is one of the very important pages, and you should definitely give it a look if you are planning to do huge imports. Now this is one more reference page which we can look at, and this page also helps us in importing the issues to Jira software. And what I'll do is straight away I'll go towards the end, and here in the last we can see that there is a note that if you aren't a Jira administrator, you won't be able to map the following fields in the CSV file to their Jira equivalents. So these are those fields which we won't be able to map if we are importing the issues and we are not a Jira administrator. Okay, so this was that page which I talked about, and the URL for this page I will also upload in the description so you can find out the details. Now let's move on and summarize some of the useful tips for importing data. The first one is familiarize yourself with the source data, that is the sheet which you are trying to upload. You should be familiar with its structure, format, and the content of the data you are importing. So it would be better if you could check for inconsistencies, duplicates, or missing values in your data before importing. Second, not all fields from source might have a direct equivalent in your Jira destination. So, very carefully, you have to map the fields from your source sheet to the Jira software. Third, if you're uploading values like fixed version or components, make sure that those field values already exist in Jira. Fourth, always keep a log of your import so that you can check for issues later on. Fifth, once you have uploaded your data, do go back and check a few issues, that whether the data which you intended to upload has been mapped correctly to your field or not. Also, when Jira shows you the fields which you have uploaded in the filter, do not forget to compare the count of issues which you had in your import sheet with the count of issues which have been uploaded now to Jira software. So that was all in this video. Thank you so much for watching the video. Bye for now and see you later.